Every single year you are lied to. Apple and Samsung spend billions of dollars convincing you that the $1,000 piece of glass in your pocket right now is certainly ancient history. Let's start with the feature that sells phones, the cameras. Remember Samsung viral 100x space zoom that captures flawless, crisp photos of the moon? It's arguably one of their biggest marketing traps. Except it's largely an illusion. Tech investigators proved that if you take a blurry, low-resolution photo of the moon on a computer screen and point a Samsung Ultra phone at it, the phone instantly snaps a sharp, detailed image because that AI detects the shape of the moon and literally paints a pre-existing high-resolution texture over your photo. It's not photography, it's a digital sticker placement. Apple isn't innocent either, as they've released shot on iPhone commercial featuring cinematic masterpieces while hiding in the microscopic fine print that these videos use tons of thousands of dollars in professional studio lighting, external microphones, stabilizing cranes, and massive post-production editing teams. Both companies are also guilty of filler lens padding on mid-range models, bragging about a triple camera setup on their budget phones, and two of these lenses are just cheap, useless 2-megapixel macro shots or depth sensors slapped on to make the camera bump look intimidating. One of the most calculated tricks Apple and Samsung pulled was systematically stealing beloved hardware features and marketing the loss as an upgrade. When Apple killed the headphone jack, they claimed it took courage and freed up the internal space. Samsung immediately made fun of them in commercials, only to quietly delete the headphone jack from their own phones a few years later. The truth had nothing to do with the engineering constraints or internal space. It was about to forcing you to buy a wireless AirPods or Galaxy Buds, creating a multi-billion-dollar industry accessory market out of thin air. They did the exact same thing with the microSD card slot. By removing the expandable storage, they successfully trapped you. Now, if you run out of space for your photos, you no longer spend $10 to get an SD card. Instead, you are forced to pay Apple or Samsung monthly subscription fee for cloud storage, or cut up on the extra $100 or $200 upfront just to step into the next storage tier when buying the phone. While the storage upgrade on the phones, even the physical SIM card tray was stripped away under the guise of convenience, making it harder for you to easily swap the cheap local carriers when traveling abroad and locking you deeply in their digital carrier ecosystems. When Samsung and Apple claims a device has an all-day battery life, they are testing in labs, artificial automation labs where the screen brightness is turned way down, cellular data roaming is turned off, and there are zero background apps like Instagram, TikTok constantly fetching data, bearing no resemblance to how human actually uses a phone. But the bigger lie is fast charging, where companies have loved boasting about blazing fast speeds like full charge in just 30 minutes. What they actually don't tell you is up to a rule. The same goes for the performance and all that kind of stuff. A faster charging speed pumps max voltage for the first few minutes when your phone is completely dead. As soon as the battery warms up, the software heavily throttles the speed down to a crawl to prevent the phone from catching fire. Worse yet, running those extreme charging speed generates intense heat that degrades the chemical health of your battery, virtually guaranteeing that within 24 months, your phone's battery will plummet and force you to pay for a costly replacement or buying the entirely new phone. Next up is the screen display. Apple and Samsung are locked in a brutal arm race over nits. Even the Chinese companies are guilty of these things. The measurement of screen brightness, Samsung will claim their latest screen hits as astonishing 2600 nits of peak brightness, and Apple will counter with 2000 nits, leading you to assume your phone will blindly bright under direct sunlight. However, that number is a calculated deception called peak brightness. Your phone can only hit that headline under hyper-specific laboratory conditions, requiring a tiny microscopic friction of the screen, like a single flash of lightning in the HDR movie. To lighten up for a fraction of a second, the entire screen tried to run at that brightness for more than a minute, your phone would overheat, and you probably have seen your phone got heat up in the direct sunlight, thermal throttle, and melt its own battery, meaning that under regular outdoor sunlight, your phone operates at only a fraction of that advertised numbers. Perhaps the most frustrating life of the modern smartphone era is corporate greenwashing. It started when Apple proudly announced they were removing the charging brick from the iPhone box to save the environment and reduce carbon emission, which Samsung mocked in a series of ads before immediately doing the exact same thing a few months later. They claim smaller boxes means more phones fit on a shipping pallet, reducing transport pollution, but the real world math tells a different story. When you buy a $1,200 phone that only comes with a USB Type-C and your old USB-A wall brick doesn't fit, you are forced to go online and buy a charging brick separately because now the companies are changing 45 watt to 60 watt and then 100 watt. You have to buy the new brick to actually support that thing. That separate brick is manufactured in a separate factory, wrapped its own separate plastic and cardboard packaging, and shipped to your house in a separate delivery truck. The environment didn't benefit. Apple and Samsung just successfully unbundled a basic accessory, forced you to pay extra for it, and boosted their profit margin under the guise of saving the planet. The corporate greed extends directly into how long you're allowed to keep your phone. Apple and Samsung love to talk about sustainability and how many years of software upgrades they are providing. Even Samsung is claiming 7 years, but they are actively trying to prevent you from physically repairing your own device through a malicious process called parts pairing. If you break your phone screen and buy an identical original screen from a broken phone to swap out, the phone software will notice because those companies embedded the microscopic serial numbers into individual components like the screen, battery, and camera. If the software detects a new serial number, even if it's an authentic official part, it will intentionally disable features like Face ID on iPhone, True Tone, or even the camera stabilization. By doing this, they intentionally force independent repair shops out of the business and push you into their official stores, where they quote repair prices so high that you give up and just buy a new phone instead, easily $1,200 or $1,300 new phone, and left your previous phone in your drawer. Finally, we have the grandest illusion of them all, annual update cycle. The truth that engineering teams don't want you to know is that smartphone technology has polluted. And true, earth-shattering innovation doesn't happen on a 12-month schedule anymore. To convince you to upgrade every single year, they rely on artificial software gatekeeping and minor aesthetic shifts. Think about the massive wave of marketing around Galaxy AI or Apple Intelligence, where these companies restrict a new software trick or camera filter exclusively to the new models. We already seen with a lot of new phones, claiming the older phone isn't powerful enough to handle it, yet independent developers consistently prove that older processors are more than capable of running these features. It's a manufacturer limitation designed to give you severe FOMO, while they take last year's processor, overclock it by a microscopic 5%, shift the camera lenses by a 2mm, call it a revolution. Now, how do you break the cycle? The next time Apple or Samsung takes the stage to announce a new magical device that will supposedly change your life, remember the fine print. Don't look at the megapixel numbers, don't look at the peak brightness charts, and don't believe the lap cooked battery status. Your current phone is likely a powerhouse that can easily last you 3, 4, or even 5 years. Skip a generation or two, stop buying into the illusion. Now, that is all from today. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.